Welcome to Beyond Energetics, the podcast where we explore the unseen forces that shape our lives. I'm Sarah, and together we'll journey into the depths of energy, intuition, and transformation. In each episode, we'll uncover how subtle energies influence our daily experiences, delve into practices that enhance our intuitive abilities, and discuss how aligning with these forces can lead to profound personal growth and health. Whether you're new to the world of energy or looking to deepen your understanding, this space is for you. So settle in, open your mind, and let's embark on this transformative journey together. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Beyond Energetics. I'm super excited for today's episode. Lately, everything has been feeling as though it's unraveling a little bit or a lot, let's just be honest. Yet no one's really saying it out loud. So many people are quietly holding the weight of too much, too many expectations, too many financial pressures, relationships, grief, uncertainty, all while feeling like they're supposed to keep smiling, keep producing, and keep up with the Joneses. I'm so grateful, Becky, that you're here today and we get to have this conversation finally. We were speaking about a lot of this was it last night? And we
Yeah,
thought, hey, we should really podcast this. So thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up and sharing your genius and your loving embrace with all of us here today.
thank you so much for inviting me and having me on the podcast.
You're
Bringing me
so
out of my comfort zone. This is a first for me. So,
right. It's always nice when you can step out of that comfort zone and into a new space and place with a friend. And I just wanted to speak on how you've done that for me in so many aspects of my life. You truly are what you preach and what you teach. And I'm so grateful for you to be a part of my life and my children's life. And your wisdom has rocked my world so many times. Becky is absolutely amazing at what she does. She intuitively channels and releases tension and ailments and triggers truly within the body. And, today, this conversation I feel is so suited for you to be here because we're talking about what we're not saying out loud. And so much of the work that you do is helping people release what they're not speaking out loud because we hold that within our body. So I guess my question, and where I think would be fun to start, is what are you noticing that people aren't saying out loud right now, Becky?
oh gosh, there's so much. But I think the main thing I'm noticing right now is we're literally, all of us are hanging on by a thread for one reason or another. We're all trying to keep our stuff together. We're all trying to keep our heads above water. Part of my work, I get visions kind of thing or pictures in my head, and each and every single one of them, it's just like a lake of faces facing up, and we're just all trying to keep our mouths and our noses above water and keep breathing to keep moving so we can keep swimming. And I think so many of us are in survival mode right now. Just we're they're baby steps, but we're just trying to keep one foot in front of the other right now. It's crazy. It's crazy out there.
Yeah, and I feel like when I'm speaking to people, not only are we trying to keep our head above water, but it's like everywhere we turn, we get a breath, and then it's like one more thing. I was speaking to a few friends this morning, and we were talking about how it feels like we're walking through a minefield. We just get
Yeah.
ourselves into this place of what we think is calm or what feels like calm, and one more thing happens, and it's literally like we're living in this world of chaos and uncertainty, and that's really living within our body.
Yeah.
So I know,
Yeah.
yeah, right. And for me, I know when I'm walking through that, I feel a lot of tightness within my body.
Mm.
I feel like there's so much I want to scream out, but I can't. And it's suffocating and it causes anxiety. And I know we've spoken about how we haven't been able to sleep really the last week,
Yeah.
especially.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is? Besides the stress, do you think, what are you picking up on?
I think, like, I mean, if I was to tap into it, which I have before, which you know, I think a lot of us, there's just so many moving parts in the universe right now, so many energies. Um, it's almost like what they're showing me is this like this silent battle going on, right? Um, and I don't want to say light and dark, but it's like two different forces kind of trying to not overtake either, just kind of, I don't know how to word it really, to be honest. It's insert, like it's like there's different energies trying to insert, like calmer energies, clarity trying to fight its way into this murky, cloudy existence right now. And it's seeping in, but it's just this constant battle. So that's what we're kind of fighting with as well. And to put it into, we'll call it 3D terms, human terms. I don't know how you want to word that, if you've got a better way to put it,
That's great.
rather than cosmic. It's like our ego versus our intuitive self, right? So our ego's trying to fight what is going on here on the earth, yet our spiritual side, our higher selves are trying to desperately just go, but just breathe, just whatever it is we need to do and just try to move through, right? So there's like this internal battle within ourselves as well as this cosmic battle going on right now. And I mean, some of us are dealing with it better than others, but um not even dealing with it, handling it maybe, able to
Coping.
move through it. Yeah,
Yeah,
coping better.
yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of what I've been feeling.
Yeah, I love that. And I love when you were describing it as this, it's kind of like the storm, this coming in, this insertion in a way, because in my mind's eye, when you were speaking, I was seeing this woman just deeply rooted, like rooting into the ground, but all around us is this swirling like hurricane of gray and black dust. And all of a sudden there would be a glimmer of light. And she'd look up and then she'd just get like swept away again with all these different things moving through. And it's almost like this cosmic energy of just chaos. And I think being so grounded right now is really important, but it's hard because I feel like as we're grounding and being called to ground into who we truly are authentically, we're also being met with the challenge of, like I said in the introduction, like keeping up with the Joneses. And we're being met with, increasing prices of our
Oh,
basics. And it's feeling as though we're drowning. We're trying to keep up with this quality of life that we've created for ourselves. And for some of us, it's literally just keeping a roof over our heads. And yet, we're being challenged left, right, and center to do so. And when we speak, and we've spoken about this before, about like our nervous system and the role that plays, and we want to stay in our mind and in this day-to-day human, with air quotes, world that we live in, while at the same time we're being compelled with this invitation and this calling to also connect with our external forces that may be, right? Our intuition, our higher calling, our higher selves, and into the cosmos. And it's really like we're being extra challenged by this awakening that's happening, not just internally within ourselves, but as a whole. There's this light and dark, or this masculine and feminine. It's like the matriarchy is rising, but it's not coming to overtake, it's coming to balance out what's already here. And so there's multiple different balancing acts happening within this world. And it's really causing like this earthquake to really shift and stir everything up. And we're standing in this storm right now. And so when I think about how that feels, like if we're like, I feel
it
like
changes
sometimes,
daily, moment, like
right?
moment by moment, some days, like
Right? I feel like I think a lot of the times we have to feel, or we think that there has to be some big significant feeling in order to be in it. When it's like, no, this could just be like a moment of, oh my gosh, is this really happening? Or this sense of
yeah,
grief that washes over you. What have you been noticing? Just so that I like to speak about how we're feeling, because
yeah,
chances are there's hundreds and thousands of other people, if not millions, that
100%.
are feeling the same way. And I want to just break down those barriers of the way of thinking it has to be some big breakthrough thing, it has, my grief or my experience has to be big, otherwise, you know, it's not worthy of feeling or talking about, right? It's there's
Yeah.
no hierarchy in grieving or feeling chaos. It can be as big or as small.
Yeah.
It doesn't make it better or worse. What you're experiencing
No.
is very valid.
No, and that's something I've been learning as well, right? Just throughout life as well. Just because I don't feel like my experience isn't as traumatic or grief worthy as somebody else's doesn't make it any less, right? So, um, I want to just quickly go back to something that keeps playing in my mind. You
Yeah.
say grounding is important right now, and it's difficult. And I think a lot of that too, which will probably play into how I will answer your next question about how I'm feeling with all of this myself, is that grounding piece. Not only do we have to ground in, but it's like that foundation is constantly changing right now too, because things are constantly changing. Um, because things are, whether we realize it or not, there's so many things being stripped away from us for a good reason, released, so we can step into um, this version of ourselves that's coming. And with survival as well, it's we're constantly having to change, we're constantly having to tweak, we're constantly kind of having to think of something else or get a little bit more creative as to how we're going to potentially pay that bill, how we're going to potentially make this work, how any of that kind of stuff right now, especially with the economy right now. So not only is it difficult with being in the eye of our own personal storm, with the external storm going on, but our foundation is constantly changing too. And sometimes, and hopefully for a lot of us, that's, well, no, it's building it, right? And when we feel like our foundation is crumbling, one of the biggest things I have to remind myself of is when that foundation is crumbling, it's for a reason. It's because there's a better one coming, which I have experienced myself. But when you're going through it, it's incredibly difficult. Um, So coming into how I've been feeling with all of the energies is essentially all of that I just explained, right? Like um it's been years coming, right? I mean, as a mom, um I know a lot of us will be able to relate to that loss of self. That self is redefined, right? So what I've been experiencing over the last, I guess my oldest is 15, will be 16 this year. So is really trying to discover who I am. But that took a while to realize how much I had shifted and changed and kind of, I don't want to say lost myself, but kind of in a way and redefined kind of who I was, right? So I'm in the process of redefining that, figuring out who she is, finding that balance, like you were talking about balance, right? Of making myself a priority. As much as my boys are my priority, I am being faced quite, I don't want to say harshly, but it's definitely being thrown in my face that I have to be looking after myself, right? And I can't be good for them unless I'm good for me. So, I'm being very much reminded, especially over the last 6 months to a year, that I am a priority. I have to look after me and whatever that looks like in the moment as well, right? So, and that shifts and changes. So,
Yeah. And I love that you are making yourself a priority. I've said for years and years and years, we can't give from an empty cup. We want to give from the saucer. And when we're depleted, we
yeah,
can't show up for those we love in a way that we want to. So it's super important to put ourselves first. And, you know, it's finding those small, tangible ways to do that. It could be getting up like 15 minutes earlier than what you have been, just so you can have that cup of tea by yourself in silence and really nurture your thoughts for a moment. It could be going for that walk that, especially in the winter, I know we're both guilty of putting off because
yeah,
it's so cold and windy, but doing something for ourselves. It doesn't have to be a huge act. It could be something small, like giving yourself a few moments in the car before you go in to just breathe,
yeah,
right? Prepare and
Yeah.
breathe and just acknowledge where you're at in this moment. Washing dishes and just asking yourself, what am I feeling right now? How am I
Well,
actually?
and not only just that, but allowing yourself to feel it.
Yes,
Like
yes.
asking the question, what am I feeling right now? And then allowing yourself to feel it and letting that feeling move through you. And I think that's where a lot of us, I know I'm still guilty of it, as even as much as I experience with my intuitive healing and how much I preach to my clients, not preach, but express to my clients that you got to let it move through you. Don't let it stay stuck. I mean, I'm guilty of it as well, right? So it's like just letting yourself feel it. One of the things I'm working on, I'm, as you know, a very emotional person. So I express my emotions. A lot of my emotions come through tears.
Mhm.
And and I feel deeply, right? And so it's learning that it's okay to cry at everything, that they are going to pop up in the middle of Walmart sometimes if they need to. And then I can't shove it down. I mean, I try not to go into a full out ball in Walmart or something or wherever I am. But like if there's a tear that trickles down, then I have to let it through and I acknowledge that feeling and go, okay, thank you. Let's maybe wait a few minutes till I'm at least out in the vehicle, but just trying to allow myself to feel all that's coming in too, and trusting and knowing, like you and I have had so many different conversations, and um, I mean, you have been a huge support for me as well, right? And just all that you do, and just being an ear and a sounding board. And I think it's very important to have that, right? And just allow yourself to get it out too. I know for myself. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And the one thing that we've touched on a lot over the past, and like you do in your work, is letting it through and out of our bodies. Because when we don't allow that to move through, it's going to start to manifest first in the body, the energetics, but then it's going to start to manifest in a physical way. And when I do a lot of my teachings, and as you know as well, and do as well, when we really suppress and resist that decompression from the body through emotions, through whether it's crying in Walmart or raging by punching out a pillow, however we choose to do that, when we suppress that and resist that, it's going to start to manifest in ways that are going to at some point force you to sit back and really acknowledge them. So having those gentle releases, having those tears move through, or acknowledging and allowing yourself to feel the grief. And you've said to me so many times, Sarah, it's okay to cry, or and then applauding me for crying in moments where I really didn't want to. Is such a huge factor, allowing yourself to release, giving yourself permission. I know I've said many times that and you've called me out on this lovingly so many times, like you don't have to be brave all the time, right?
No.
Being brave is actually being vulnerable and showing those emotions and allowing those emotions to move through you. But understanding that if it's a huge challenge or if it's something that you really resist, it's kind of a fun, well, I say fun because it's my work, but it's always interesting to find a great friend, a sounding board, or a therapist or someone
Yeah.
in our field to sit with and get curious about. I call it let's put on our Nancy Drew hats and really uncover where this is stemming from, because a lot of it happens in our childhood, right?
Yeah.
And as mothers, especially as we're raising children, we put ourself on the side and we become this identity of mother. But what also happens is we carry this unspoken weight of really beginning to see our own childhood. The word neglect wants to come through, so I'm going to use that. Take it as you will. Neglect, traumas, heartbreaks, whatever that word is for you that resonates. When we're parents, not just moms, but as parents, and we're raising children or seeing our nieces or nephews, or if we're a teacher in school, it can really act as a bit of a instigator for bringing up things that you've moved through in your life and suppressed. So it's almost like you're in that garden and you're digging up the soil and you're having to now sit with it because you've uncovered something you weren't expecting. So,
Absolutely.
ah,
I think motherhood, period, is the universe's way of either forcing us to deal with our triggers and our stuff, or we just mask it all. Because I mean, I'll tell you right now, my kids are my biggest teachers, right?
yes.
They have shown me so much of where I need to heal. Um, and like you said, when we sit with it and you and I have these conversations going, okay, like what's going on here, why, and all that kind of stuff, it really truly does go back to childhood.
Mhm.
And the older I got, and as I became a mom, I was able to understand a bit more where my parents were coming from. Obviously, when you're going through it or growing up in it, you don't fully understand. But um, I have to say, it wasn't until my mom passed that I really, truly understood where she was coming from. And I think it was because there was now that I want to say it's not removal, but she wasn't physically in my life anymore, right? So you kind of take stock of the last X number of years that I had with her, and I'm just like, oh, okay, and I understand. And I guess there was forgiveness for how I needed her to show up and she wasn't able to, understanding that kind of stuff too, right? And then flipping that over to me being a mom and seeing how my behaviors were kind of not mirroring hers, but similar to hers, going, okay, so now I understand why she was the way she was. What do I need to heal so I don't have to, not have to be that way, but like shift so I can kind of heal and um not have my boys have to deal with or heal from as much of that generational stuff
Yeah.
as I had to. So
Yeah, absolutely. When we heal ourselves and allow ourselves to get really honest with it and put our pride aside and be like, oh,
it's gross sometimes. It's awful.
yeah.
It's a good punch to the gut sometimes.
Right. And when we do that, like in shamanism, we always say it's you're healing 7 generations before and 7 generations after. And I think we've both had instances where that's shown up almost in real time to be true.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the bravery, I keep saying bravery because I think the more we sit with our emotions and allow ourselves to feel in that shitstorm, that is brave.
Very
And
much so. It's not easy by any means
it's
to do it,
it's
right?
not, and we get so shamed for not not being that poster mom, right? Going to all doing
Oh
everything, baking the
gosh.
cupcakes, getting everyone's laundry done, having a spotless house while working and doing this and that and everything else. Like that is that is a pedestal that I don't think anyone can reach without ferociously disrespecting themselves in some way. Whether that, I don't know if disrespecting is the right word, but neglecting themselves in some way. I think a village is what it takes. And I think cutting ourselves some slack, the laundry will be there tomorrow. The dishes will be there tomorrow. They'll be there 5 minutes from now. Take the 5 minutes, do what you need to do.
Yeah.
Take the hour, book a therapy appointment, book a session, go for a
Yeah.
walk, work
Yeah.
out. Take the time to cook yourself something delicious or order in, whatever that looks like. You know, the other side of motherhood, we talk about a lot about how challenging it is in the physical aspect, but there's also this intuition and overwhelm that can simultaneously happen when you're in that storm, right? Whether it's in the new stages or whether we're 15 years in,
Yeah.
there's still this unraveling of intuition and overwhelm that can happen because the more intuitive and open to your own feelings, it's kind of like a can of worms. Now
Yeah.
you're picking up on the 3 other kids and
Yeah.
and
Who
the
are
friends.
constantly shifting and changing themselves as well,
Absolutely.
right? And
Right? We're going through hormonal changes. We're navigating friendships and sports and everything else. And now we're picking up on their stuff and we're having to differentiate, is this mine? Is theirs? How is mine affecting them and vice versa? So, what's something you can say to a mom or a dad or just a person that's around children about getting to know their intuition and really deciphering, is this mine? Is this yours? Especially in the storm.
Yeah. Um, I think for myself, what I have to remind myself, and I'm not perfect at this by any means, but I've gotten into, pardon me,
Mhm.
I've gotten into the practice of like stopping, trying to stop the tornado that's going in my head, stopping, literally taking a big deep breath and going, is this mine?
Mhm.
And I have my tells. My body will react. We all will have them, so we will know. And then sometimes I'm like, okay, if this is not mine, please leave. Like I want to deal with my stuff, not somebody else's at the moment.
Yeah. Will you tell us about tells before you continue on? What do you mean?
Uh, yeah. So for me, I feel it in my body. It just, it's hard to explain because sometimes um there's different ways that it'll happen. Sometimes I'll ask, is this mine? And I'll have a face pop up in my head. And I'm like, oh, it's this person's stuff. I'm like, okay, thank you. I see you. I'm not holding on to this. And I gently, with love, send it back. Sometimes, depending on who or what it is, it's a little more forceful than other times. But um,
Sorry.
no, no, it's all good. Um, And then other times I feel it in my body, right? Sometimes I'll relax. If it's not mine, if this is not mine, please go. And I will relax. And then um, I also, it's kind of neat to see I'll maybe think of the situation that's ruminating or spiraling in my head and go, okay, where am I holding this? Like, where is this being held in my body? And I'll kind of notice a slight sensation or an ache or a muscle that will be cramping or whatever. And then I can just gently place my hand on it and go, thank you. I see you being held there. I carry a lot in my shoulders and my neck and my shoulder blades. Um, and I just kind of wipe it away and send it away with love. We're not going to like stay there kind of thing. So, really taking that breath and just asking yourself, is this mine, is
Yeah.
huge. And I forget to do it sometimes and I spiral. And sometimes you need to remind me going, girl, is this yours? Like, I don't think this is. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, it's,
Well, and the other way that I know we've been to take it way back to the very beginning is that pendulation,
yeah,
right? When
yeah,
we sit with our body and we ground into our feet. So just feeling into our feet, bringing our awareness there and just taking a deep breath in and exhaling, then asking, show me a yes and show me a no. And when I get a no, it's usually a pull backwards. And when I get a yes, it's usually a lean into. And so what I'll do is I'll ask, is this mine? And even now my body's like, nope.
yeah,
And so that's a great way of moving through that as well. And you can do that with food. You can do that with pretty much anything in this world. Your body's going to tell you, your energy within you is going to
absolutely.
tell you, your intuition, everything's going to tell you through your body. Your body's extremely intelligent.
Yeah.
So doing that, but yeah.
I actually just taught my youngest, my 11-year-old, that trick. I'm not kidding. Last night or 2 nights ago, the body pendulum, like just taking a deep breath, grounding into your body, sitting straight up, and like you said, show me yes, show me no. And I was also taught, and you may feel different, but I ask that every time I go to ask my body pendulum too, because sometimes I find my tells,
Yeah.
I lean different ways for yes and no. So I can't just guarantee that forward is yes, backwards is no, because I think our bodies obviously shift and change, and depending on where we're at, that could all be different as well. So, yeah, but our bodies, oh my gosh, our bodies are telling us so much, so much. And I am just learning, like, I am just on the cusp of learning all of that kind of stuff as well. And it just fascinates me.
Yeah.
I
Well,
can't
and
wait to learn more.
me too. We're always learning, which is super
Yeah,
fun. And I find that you and I, when we get talking, we learn something different every time. And
yeah,
so that's the beauty of having those friends and those conversations and being vulnerable and open, right? We were able to
Yeah.
be like, is this yours? And this is actually how I'm feeling. You can ruminate and have that sounding board where you can have another clue unlock or be asked,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
it's always, I always say, just get curious. Let's get curious. I'm sure people are sick of me saying that. It's like a broken record at this point, but I'm going to keep saying it because that's I truly believe in it. What's also fascinating is that our intuition and our nervous system are so deeply connected, right? When we think about our intuition, I always have this entanglement with the nervous system, a nervous system that is in survival mode when we're in fight, flight, fawn, or freeze. It's really going to drown out our intuition and that inner knowing, and it's going to maybe look like indecisiveness. I feel like you've had to deal with me being in that
Oh
state
gosh, girl,
over
same.
the years,
Like, I
right?
mean,
It's like, please
I
just tell me what
spiral
to
everything.
do, right? I don't know. It can be
Yeah.
overthinking, which
Yeah.
that's my main game. I'm a massive overthinker when I'm in fight or flight. And it could just be like not trusting ourselves
Mm.
or feeling as though everything's squeezing our body or we're breathing really shallowly or not at all, like we're holding our breath. Could
Yep.
be like back pain, headaches, migraines. That's a big one. Nausea. I mean, like, I think I'm going to call you out. That's a big one for you when you're driving.
Yes. Oh, yes.
We'll share
We
that
don't
story
have to
one
talk
day.
about that
We'll
experience.
share that
I
one
didn't have to
day.
pull over to release my stomach contents.
Right? So, but that's like a really human way that fight or flight can show up, and it can block your intuition because it's like, do I take a left or a right here? I don't know. And it can just be so much in that moment where we have to take a moment to breathe. And if we don't, our body's literally going to show up and say,
Yeah.
like, you are taking that break, you are pulling
Yeah.
over and taking a breather right now.
Yeah.
Right? So, you know, I think you and I have both done a lot of work. We've done a lot of different
Mm.
therapies and
Yeah.
sessions and introspection into when and why we go into fight or flight. So I'd love to share how intuition feels when our nervous systems feel safe. Like, what is like those green
Ooh.
flags or those pings we get? Like for me, my shoulders rely, as I said that, my
Yeah,
shoulders
I was gonna
get
say,
relaxed, right?
I'm sure you saw it too. I was just
Yeah,
kind of
but
like,
it's like,
oh,
oh,
okay.
I feel like a noodle a little bit. And that seems silly to say, but it's like everything just feels at ease. Like I could really sink into being in the moment. My voice changed. Did you hear that? And I can just be. I'm not
Yeah,
performing. I'm not in my head. I'm just in the moment and I'm breathing deep. My body, my muscles are relaxed and I'm just present, like fully present. Everything changes. My cadence, if I'm walking, my rhythm of my voice, my tonality. And so this where I'm at right now, I know I could ask a question and get an intuitive hit like that.
absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Like when you're talking about being in your your flight, fight, fawn, or freeze, uh, um, it's like I got this feeling of everything being tense, being closed in, being whatever. And so as you're talking and relaxing your body and setting into that safety, which it is, um, I put the quotes there because it's not that we're not safe when we're in that nervous system, fight, flight, fawn, or freeze. It's it's different, right? So it's like we relax and it's like all the external things kind of fall away. And for me, I hear voices, it's the tension, not not well, no, it is. It's
Yeah,
me
yeah,
because I see all sides of everything. It's like
yeah.
I have so many open tabs and it's like, well, what about this? What about this? What about and they're all kind of playing at the same time. And it's like as my nervous system kind of relaxes, all of that kind of goes away and it just becomes very calm, very quiet. And that I'm like, okay. It's very assured, very, there's no second guessing, there's no questioning, it's just very calm. And it's like, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're not going to overthink this. And I mean, that isn't even a thought. You
Yeah.
go ahead and do it or answer the question and don't look back.
You just know, right? It's like you've
Yeah.
closed it all, you've X'd out of all of those open tabs and it's just
Yeah.
quiet. And the one thing I think you and I both teach on is that intuition, when it's an intuitive hit, it's like you said, it's very assured. There's no
Yeah.
questioning it. When it is your logical brain or when it's not an intuitive hit, generally you're going to get a story afterwards. Or a
Yes.
story is going to be told. So an intuitive hit is very assured. You know in your body, mind, everything is just bang on aligned. When it's not an intuitive hit, it's like there's this story, there's this questioning that is it, isn't it? And that's when you know it's probably not. It's probably your brain's trying to kind of create the story or your ego is trying to create the story. So there's once you get to know yourself a little bit more, you can catch yourself on it too. And that's just all practice. That's everyone's intuitive. Everyone can
Absolutely.
get these intuitive hits, but it's really um, just getting to know yourself a little bit better, becoming your own friend, right? Dating
Yeah.
yourself, spending time with your thoughts, allowing yourself to move through and noticing where things are within your body, sensations, emotions, thoughts, even, right? Is there a color associated with them? Like healing, if we're bringing it back, like healing doesn't mean doing more. I know we talked about a lot of grounding in the storm and putting ourselves first, but it doesn't mean doing more. We don't have to read 1,000 books in order to, heal to our most optimum point.
I can
It's
attest to that. I might own them, but
and I love
for
that.
more
I love coming over and
references
being
that
like,
this,
"Ooh, can I borrow this book?"
yeah.
But it's in those small moments of repair versus those big moments of breakthrough. And I think those moments where we're able to tap into those intuition, those moments where, maybe we didn't listen and we are on the side of the road. And you know what? The learning from that, like, I think we're both like, ooh, we should probably listen to ourselves a little bit more, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's,
Yeah.
it's taking those moments of allowing the healing to be rational and not isolating and allowing the community to come in, a best friend or a colleague or whatever that looks like, just allowing ourselves to really take pride and honor those small moments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think for me too, intuition and I think I've talked to a few people about this, but as we have our internal dialogue, which most of us do, I know some don't, but most of us do, I hear my ego and my intuition in different places in my head. And I know that sounds funny, but if you pay attention when you have your internal thoughts, my ego, and it'll be different for everybody, but my ego comes from the front of my head. My intuition comes from the back of my head. And it's a little difficult at the start to kind of decipher where it's coming from, but my ego is very strong.
Mm.
Um, and I know that's your third eye, but my ego sits like right here and I can feel it, almost pushing against closing that third eye and that intuition.
Do you know what just came to my head is it's like it's clouding it.
Yes,
It's
it's
trying
like
working really
blocking it, right?
hard.
As I push
Yeah.
on my third eye for sure.
Yeah.
So that ego's there pushing on that third eye, right? So when you're able to kind of decipher where that is coming from, then that tends to help as well. And there's not, like you said, there's not going to be a lot of not necessarily going to be a lot of detail with your intuition either. It's direct, it's straight to the point. Um, and I just got the urge, I guess, to say too, when asking for guidance and when asking our guides and whatnot, our inner self, higher self for help too, I guess the important part of that is we have to ask when we're looking for guidance, right? Like we have a team, including our higher selves, our intuition, but we have to ask for it kind of thing too, right? So they're waiting for us. We need to ask. So yeah.
Absolutely. We're never alone. We never have to heal alone. We never have to be
No.
in our emotions alone. Like you said, we have that team of guides and ancestors and friends and supports that all we have to do is ask. And
Yeah.
sometimes that's the bravest thing to do is ask, but no one is meant to heal alone. Community is so important, however that looks like for you, whether that is friends that are like family, right? Or whether that is your therapist
Yeah.
or whatever that is for you.
Yeah.
Um, just being in a space where we don't have to justify our pain is
Yes.
such a sense of relief. And it's so imperative to healing.
Absolutely. Just being able to, I know for myself, and I think, well, you and I have probably talked about it. We've talked about so many things, but
Mm.
um, just being able to get it out for myself, get it out of my head. So it stops ruminating. So whatever thought, so just calling you up and just getting it out.
Mhm.
And whatever that is, and it's beautiful because there's no judgment. Doesn't matter what I say. It's just you're there to receive it and go, okay, girl, thanks, I hear you. And kind of if there's guidance needed, if not, we just kind of keep going. I know I've got it out though, right? So, and I think that's, oh, we're going to spiral back. Welcome to Conversations with Becky. It's just kind of all over the place. But, um,
What I love
it,
about our conversation.
yeah, it kind of spirals back to what we originally started talking about, what we're all feeling right now. And I think there's so much shame in what we're going through, so much. Yeah, I keep going back to shame, right?
Yeah.
And we're not talking about it because we don't want to talk about it because there's, again, they're using the word shame around the lows and how we're feeling. And we don't want to be feeling this, but here we are feeling it. And we don't want to talk about it because then we don't want to encourage it. But yet it stays in there, which brings me back to the other point as well, is we need to get it out.
Yes.
So I've had friends say, oh, well, I've said it to you going, oh my God, I sound like a broken record. Here I go again. But obviously there's still more in my body or in our bodies that need to talk about it again, right? So, but being able to get it out to whatever, it just release it. It just helps so much, right? And there is no shame in anything that we're going through. It is what it is, right? And we're all in this place where every single person you walk past every single day has some kind of shit they're dealing with.
Mhm.
So it's, yeah, I don't know. I stopped now. That's all I needed
Yeah.
to say
No,
about that.
absolutely. I love that. And there's this, I think as the generation we're in, I think we've had these high expectations put onto us to have this perfect job, to have the perfect family, the perfect house, do what our parents do, have all this money saved up. And it's just not a reality
No,
for
not
us,
for our
for so
generation.
many of us. And I
I think
think,
we, sorry to pause for a second. I
no,
think we
yeah,
compare ourselves to our parents' generation
yes,
too, right? Like we're
absolutely.
going, how did our parents do this? How
Yeah.
come they were able to do X, Y, Z? And here we are having to, and I understand the shifts
Well,
and changes of everything, but
no,
we need to stop that too. Like there's no comparison. You can't
no.
compare.
Well, and I think too, I read something the other day that in order for us to have the same financials as our parents,
No.
the minimum wage would have to go from like $18 to like $64 an hour.
Yeah,
That would be the comparisons. There's no, we can't compare
no,
right now. And I think a lot of us are holding that expectation of being the child that's not living up to our parental expectations upon us. And we're holding that heavily in our body and in our mind. And for some of us too, I think we've come to this point in our lives where we've done maybe A, B, C, D, all the things we were told we should do from our parents and from that generation. And we're sitting here like, this is it.
yeah,
I don't feel fulfilled. I
no,
should, and I feel really awful that I have the toys, I have the house, I have the beautiful partner and the perfect kids and the great job, but my soul feels empty.
yeah.
So it's like we've put ourselves on the side burner to do A, B, C, D,
What we
and now we're
should,
what we should do. And right, I always say don't should yourself. We have to listen now. We're coming to this apex of having to listen to what does our soul actually want? And it's labeled as like maybe a midlife crisis or whatever, a crisis of some point, but it's actually this beautiful recalibration. I like to look at it as where now we get to walk forward knowing what we know and start to create that life we desire. Maybe we bring in more work-life balance. Maybe we adjust how we're living and spending our time. Maybe we put in boundaries where we're not answering Slack past 5 o'clock at night or not answering calls on the weekend when we're not getting paid for that. We're putting our family first. So it's really differentiates person to person, but I think we're at this point where we have to really go beyond these expectations and realities that were built through expectations put upon us and begin to return to, nurturing ourselves and what's really truly important to us. Family
Absolutely.
before everything else within our world, right? Like really coming home to
Yeah.
ourselves.
And
Rep-
I'm curious to see even to like as you're talking, like our parents' generation is to the point now where a lot of them are retired or
yeah.
whatever. So it's our generation who have taken more time for ourselves or are being taught to look after ourselves. That's coming up to uh do a lot of the leading. So like in work and that kind of stuff. So I am, and I mean the generation, like our kids' generation, and even 10 years younger than us. I know there's a bit of a difference between you and I, not much, I guess, but like just even 10 years younger than us, how they're going to, I don't want to say run things, but kind of like run things and lead and that kind of stuff, right? So there's that shift too. So I'm really curious to see what's going to happen in another 10, 20, 30 years with everything, how everything's going to be run, if that perspective is going to shift and change. And Um, yeah, it's going to be interesting. So we're kind of in that in between stage right now where we're phasing out of how things were run with our parents that and moving into a more, I guess that feels rigid, and then moving more into a more fluid type of living, right? And where norms aren't what we're used to. I mean, my generation anyway, or yeah, I guess yours too, but
Mm.
um yeah, and just moving into that more fluid, we're the ones creating that change. So, which also doesn't help the pressures with us either, right? So, because we're trying to make that change. So we're trying to move out of um, that rigidity into that fluidity. So,
Yeah, we're slowly moving the dial. And when I really think about it, as you were speaking, what popped into my head is we're really reparenting our nervous systems, right?
yeah,
We've been neglecting it for so long and doing everything we thought we should do while neglecting our nervous system. And now we're in that moment of not just reparenting, but repairing it as well. And we
yeah,
can no longer ignore it because it is causing health concerns. And we don't want to be like our parents and be worn out and for like traveling when we're like 70, 80 years old because we're having to like we're never going to, if we keep on this route, be able to retire if we're being truly honest with ourselves the way the world's going. So it's like
absolutely.
it's almost like now or never. Like, I don't want to live like that. We're seeing how the world's changed so much in our time. And at the same time, we're looking at, I know our kids' generation where they're like, why am I going to school for 8 hours a day when I can do my work in 2 hours and then create an online business that's going to bring me in money? So then, it's like, yeah, why are you? We can
Yeah,
see, I think we have the flexibility, especially since we went through the 2020 and into that era. I think we had that awakening where we can see, yeah, maybe, that 9 to 5 is not all it was cracked up to be for sure. Now that was thrown in our face very loudly. We can work from home. We can prioritize different things and still be okay.
I was gonna
And
say, and it's okay.
yeah, and it's okay. And, you know, right now, I think everything that's falling away, to circle back to what we spoke about and what you and I have said to each other many times, kind of become our mantra or our affirmation. If not this, show me something better. If
Ooh,
not this, show me something better, more aligned.
gosh, you had to remind me recently of that.
Yeah, and you had to do that for me too, right? Like we've been like, I feel like that's gone back and forth in our text chats so much in
Yeah,
our voice notes. Remember, if not this,
it's not
something
this.
better,
Yeah.
right? So I think for us and everyone listening right now, it's just taking that, if not this, surrendering, allowing things to crumble. And even as I say that, I see that storm image from the very beginning, standing there with all the wind and dirt flying around, just chaos. I see in that surrender of, if not this, then something better, the dust settling, the storm settling.
Absolutely. It's
It's
exactly what I pictures as well.
yeah, it's
Just
in this.
everything kind of going, cool.
Yes, everything just settling down. So, if someone right now is listening and feels like they're failing at life right now, because I feel like, at least in our conversations, we're like, oh my God, I'm failing as a parent. I'm
Yeah.
failing
Yeah.
at like, what would you want them to know?
That they're doing the best they can. Yeah, something somebody once told me is that we're doing the best that we can in that moment. And every day is a new day. Take a deep breath and move forward. Baby steps, little steps, but just trust and know I am the queen of beating myself up, which I am slowly moving through and healing from, right? For stuff that happened with parenting, with choices, with whatever happened in my life of I did the best I could in that moment. Um, but that's not who I am right now. And just really truly not living back there. And I mean back there, like could have been yesterday. It could have been 20 years ago. It could have been whenever, but just trusting and knowing that we did the best we could and letting them stay there, I guess, really, and just moving forward with who we are now. Like,
Mhm.
really, truly having a good look at, not good look, I'm not saying go deep and internal, maybe. Um, yeah, just knowing that we're doing the best we can.
Yeah.
I know I
Did the,
repeated that a
yeah.
lot.
Yeah, we did the best we could in that moment. We knew what we knew then, and as we learn and grow and evolve, then we do better as we learn more.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
having that self-compassion, it sounds like that's what you're saying is the key.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being here, Becky. I love our conversation so much. If you are wanting to connect with Becky, I'll put all of her information in the show notes. She works one-on-one to help you release these things that we hold within our body out of our
Mm.
body in a very channeled, very connected way to source. So, Becky, if someone wants to get a hold of you, what is your Instagram handle? How can they connect with you that way?
It's Becky Smith Embrace.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. We'll
Thank
have
you.
to have another conversation at another point in time, but thank you so much
Absolutely.
for being here and thank you all for listening.